Hi, everybody. I'm Susan Vance, and this is a special recording for Southfield Schools. So, welcome to the island. This is a getting started session, so if you are pretty expert, this probably is not the session that you want to follow through. But if you're a beginner, this is perfect. And as I said, I'm Susan Vance. I'm an implementation consultant, and I'm specifically going to be working this year with Southfield schools. So you'll probably see me in your schools, maybe providing some on-site training and so forth. So this is my contact information. I'll pull it back up at the end of the session because I really want to hear from you if you have questions or if you want to have another type of session. So that's me, picture of me, so you can put a face with a voice. And I am partnered with Michael Phelps, who tells me he doesn't do photos, but he's very happy. He's going to be around in your district also helping you. And Michael and I are both committed to your success using Study Island. So starting at the very beginning, what do we mean by customer success? And so basically, we have extended within our company at Mentum, we've extended some ways that we think we can be of help to you to really make sure that you get the results from the program and to make it easy to use and enjoyable for your students. So that's our customer success program. And what is Study Island? Most people, if you've heard of Study Island, you have some kind of an idea that it's help students practice. They work on Study Island when they're preparing for tests and so forth. But it's so much more than that. So Study Island is it's a standards mastery program. So it's aligned specifically to Michigan Common Core standards for each of the grade levels. So you can be assured that when your students are working in Study Island, they are specifically targeting what they need to know as they progress through each of the school years. One of the great advantages, something I'm always excited about with Study Island, is the motivational piece, which lets the students play a quick game, which at first that sounds kind of counterintuitive, like who needs kids to be playing games when they're in school? But the great advantage of the game is that it's very short, it's very fun, but the motivation part is that when they start to answer questions, they're going to have to answer the question correctly. So if you've ever watched a student who really didn't want to do this computer work, if you've ever watched them just click through, boom, 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 hey teacher, I'm finished, the game slows that down. So if they decide they enjoy playing the game, then they will try harder to get the correct answer because they only get to play the game as a reward when they answer a question correctly. And of course, you maybe have seen blue ribbons around the school when the students master a topic. So mastery in Study Island is they answer 10 questions on a topic and they score at least 7 out of 10 or 70%. When they do that, they earn a blue ribbon. And so sometimes schools will have blue ribbon contests, say which classroom can earn the most blue ribbons for a party, or do the boys earn more blue ribbons than the girls for some kind of a reward. You know, the sky's the limit on how you can do that. But then moving on to serious business, as a teacher, if you're using Study Island week by week, you have formative information on how your students are doing. So if you're teaching a topic, if you're teaching order of operations, and at the beginning of the week you assign that to the students and tell them to keep working on it until they get the best score that they can, at the end of the week, you've got a quick, easy-to-look-at report that tells you who in your class has mastered order of operations and who in the class needs some additional instruction on that topic. So it's a really win-win. The students have an enjoyable way of practicing the content, and the teachers get the formative feedback to let them know how their students are doing. And of course, the blue ribbon. So one other feature that's fairly new within the last couple of years is when students are answering the questions, they're not just multiple choice questions. There's still some of those, but if you look at this screen, you're going to have matched pairs, multi-part questions, multiple response, sequencing. So not all of these in all the subjects. Some are more available in the math, and others are more readily available in the reading component. But one of the advantages is that this gives the program the ability to help students practice higher order thinking when if they have to give multiple response or fill in the blank or matching or whatever, they have to really understand the topic. They can't really guess. So great resource to use in a variety of ways to help students practice with this. So as I said earlier, this is going to be just getting started, just a very quick introduction. This is the agenda. I'm going to be explaining your district has implemented something new this year called Clever, and we'll talk about that. We'll look at what I refer to as the topic tree and the teacher toolkit. We'll create a class, which is probably first thing on everybody's mind is how do I create a class to get my students started, and we'll definitely do that. And then I'm going to show you how to create an assignment, and we'll talk about what that assignment looks like for the student. And finally, I am a huge believer in making it count. So from my teaching experience, if I ever told students it would be a good idea if they did something, somebody's hand always shot up and said, does it count? Which of course means, do I really have to do it? Are you going to take a grade? Or is this just something I'll do because I'm good? So I want to show you how you look at the assignment report so you can make it count. Very easy to record a grade after students completed different topics. And of course, we'll talk about some follow-up support and what's next. So that's the agenda we'll follow. But I have a couple of slides that I want to go through before we move into your actual account. So the first one is integrating with Clever. So what this means is if you've ever had situations in past years where students would come new to your district or new to your classroom and they didn't have accounts. So when your district implements the Clever platform, the first thing it does is it updates throughout the day. So every time a new student comes into the district, that student's name is going to be there ready to be used. It also provides something we call a single sign-on. So your students, you probably have multiple programs. I know at the elementary level you have reading eggs. So if students have several different programs they're going to access, all they do is log into Clever, and then they'll have a shortcut on the Clever screen to access any of the educational software programs that they have available to them. So the way you're going to log in with this is you and your students will open the preferred web browser. That may be, you may not have a choice, there may only be one, but at any rate, you'd open your web browser and access the link to Clever. Then the login for both teachers and students is going to be your district username and password. That's typically some combination of a number, maybe part of your name, whatever. But somebody at your school will know, if you don't know, what your district username and password is. So once you log into Clever, all you do is click on the link to Study Island. So much improved way of accessing. Okay, so I'm going to end this part of the program, and I want to shift as quickly as I can to your actual Study Island account. So let me make sure everybody's seeing this. So one of the things that I've noticed that surprises people, depending on how your district set up Study Island within Clever, the first thing you see may look like this, and you'll say, wait, that doesn't look like Study Island. Well, it actually is, and in another session, another short session, we'll talk about Sensei. But for right now, if you land on this page, just come up here in the upper left-hand corner and click on Edmentum. And I just got tricked here. Just give me 1 second, I'll get back in there. Okay, I had timed out as I was doing all the talking at the beginning. I timed out. So when you come into the actual Study Island, you'll probably land on the page What's New at Study Island. And so I really encourage you. There's some new things that came out on the 6th of November, and there's some other features that are going to be available a little bit later in the school year. So keep your eye on the What's New page. But for now, I want to look at, again, what I call the topic tree. So down here on the left-hand side, you have Michigan programs, which of course is what you want, unless you teach kindergarten and first grade. So you're going to find the kindergarten Common Core and the first grade Common Core more generic, not specifically aligned to Michigan, but some really excellent content, Common Core type content for kindergarten and first grade. But let's go to Michigan, second grade up through high school. So if you're a high school teacher, your ELA will be located right here. And of course, your high school ELA or math will be located right here. And you also have some specific science review located under the high school, CE Science, and then the 4 key subjects for high school science. Okay, so I'm going to do this demonstration with third grade material because I have a pretty good feeling that I can answer those questions. So when I clicked on, and by the way, I am logged in to Adler Elementary School, but all of the schools, what I'm showing you will be exactly the same for all of them. So no worries about that. Okay, so I've selected third grade, and if you want to pause this, if you want to pause the session so that you can get logged in and kind of follow along in another window, that's certainly something that you could do. But if I select third grade math, and a couple of things I want to tell you about this that I've learned over time. First, I know that we've always said that students have to take the diagnostic test first before they can do anything else. And that's a little bit true, but not entirely. So it's true if you don't ever make an assignment for students, they don't have access to the rest of these resources until they take the diagnostic test. I'm going to strongly suggest that instead of doing that and then having the students just randomly work on these topics, the way to get some really solid results for your students is, as I said earlier, let's say you're teaching from operations and algebraic thinking. For the next few days, you're going to be teaching opposite operations, maybe some of these other topics, but we'll just look at opposite operations. So this is the topic, which is why I call it the topic tree. But over here at the far right, you can see that it'll show you the standards that are going to be addressed when you work with this topic tree. Then when I click on this link, wow, all the different resources that I have. So I have a lesson, and I can go through this lesson as a review with the students, but the intent is that when the students access working in their assignment, the idea is that they would look at the review and kind of scroll down through here and look at these. And here's most, maybe not most, but many have a Khan Academy that ties into this topic. And another great idea is when parents ask you, how can I help my child? I don't know the new math. It confuses me. So you could point the parents to these lessons as something they could go through with the students. Just an idea to think about. Okay, the practice and game mode is essentially the same, except you already heard my little spiel about using game mode. So we're going to come back to that in a second. Printable worksheets, we can never have too many worksheets. So if students are struggling, it might be possible to print the worksheet and maybe have a small group where you meet with the students and help them complete the worksheet. And not just another idea of a way to extend this. Finally, group session. We're not going to have time in this session, but we will come back with a short recording that will show you how to use group session, which basically, if you've ever used clickers or kind of understand the concept of clickers, that's what group sessions will do. But I want to take a minute just to go into game mode. So when the students access game mode, they can choose puzzle games, action games, or sports games. So I'll just go to the action game. I'm terrible at the sushi toss, but you got to keep practicing. So I'm going to select sushi toss, and then I'm going to go into my assignment. So this is what it will look like for the student. So first question, which of the following could be used to solve the division sentence above? So it could be, let's see, 10 multiplied by what would equal 90? Let's see if that's right. All right. Okay. And I don't know if you noticed little Taco, the crab, popping up down here. He's one of the just fun feature of the program. One of the features that's coming out in another month or so would be if you don't like Taco, you can pick others. So what I was talking about earlier, when the student answers the question correctly, they get to play a game. And I'll do that in a second just to show you. If the student had answered this question incorrectly, they need to be encouraged to look at the explanation so that they can get the next question correct. So think about the fact family and so on and so forth. So this is going to help the student with the next question. But right now, I'm going to click on play the game, and I'm certainly going to pick easy. And this one is managed by the keyboard. And so what I want to do is capture the sushi and not anything else. As I said, I'm really quite terrible at it. But okay, so notice it's counting down the time. They get 60 seconds to play the game, and it records a score. So some students get very caught up in having the highest score that they can. I'm going to end this and go back to the next question. So that's really the way students move through the lessons. As I had said earlier, the first two that we've looked at have been multiple choice, but I guarantee as they work through the 10 questions, they're going to see several different kinds of questions. So one of the other things I'm going to save, notice I'm saving the session. That's new for over all previous years. So let me explain a little bit about that. So I saved the session, and what that means is that on the student screen, when they log in the next time, it'll show them that they have a lesson in progress. So it'll look like that on the student screen also. So in past years, you may remember that the students had to answer, say they answered 3 questions and the bell rang, and then they logged back in the next day and they answered a few questions, and it kept giving them a cumulative average. So the big change here is that they finish answering the 10 questions, and let's say they only score 50% the first time. So they do a little more. They look at the lesson. They maybe talk to the teacher, and they log in and do the whole thing another 10 questions. But the system records their best, not their average. So a student who did it the first time and scored 50% and logs back in and this time scores 70%, he's going to get a blue ribbon and feel a lot better about the progress that he's making. So basically, that is what the kinds of resources that you have available. I want to open just one other. Yeah, I guessed perfectly. Okay, notice on this screen, I've got teacher resources. These teacher resources are pulled from the teacher toolkit. But the one that's linked right here to number patterns tells me that I have a video, perhaps. This is a teacher demonstrating a lesson on number patterns. Just click here. You've got a quick lesson on that to suggest perhaps a different way to teach number patterns. You have amazing lesson plans. I can't say enough good things about these lesson plans, especially independent practice, advanced for your advanced students, something for them to do, perhaps in a center, and then some resources for your struggling learner. Then once in a while, there'll be even something else listed there to help you teach some of these topics. And as I said, they're being pulled from the teacher toolkit, which is over here. And you can sort for all these different kinds of resources if you're looking for something for 6th and 8th grade. Here are Khan Academies, some advanced math practice activities, the educational videos, animations, lesson plans. So use the filters and locate some amazing resources that you can use in your classroom. Okay, so that's the quick tour of the curriculum or the topic tree. So now we're going to move up here to the class manager, and it appears that with the Clever, this is new since the last time I logged in, so this is very good news. So when you log in, when you go to class manager, if you're Melanie Barker, you already have a class. So, and that was done through Clever. So let me click on the pencil. And Melanie has one student in her class. So that tells me that even though the class has been set up for Melanie, she would still need to. So if she's a 5th grade teacher, she's going to come over here and add, because I'm betting that her class has more than one student. So this setting up the Clever is kind of a work in progress this year. So if you have a class created but you don't have students, you simply come to your grade level and select by clicking here the students you want in your class. And of course, don't forget to click Save down here after you've done that. But I want to go back up here to the top. So Melanie has a class structure in place, and I'm guessing that Marissa Saramet created that particular class. I don't know. But right here is an important distinction, because if the teacher, in this case Melanie Barker, if you have intervention specialist or a title teacher or a teacher's assistant, whatever, you can add up to 3 of those people to share your class. Then here in the middle of the screen, you have school preferences. So the overall school preferences that are set up, but that you can change, says allow the game mode, allow extra scratch pads, highlighters, and the building blocks. So I want to take a second, or probably more like a minute, and talk about the building block topics. If, as in this case, you're a 5th grade teacher and you've assigned your students to work on 5th grade topics, If they start struggling on grade level topics, the system will automatically block them temporarily from the fifth grade topic and automatically assign them a related but easier fourth grade topic. So when that happens, that's what we call the building block. The student then has to successfully answer questions at the lower grade level. Again, 7 out of 10, the student would earn a white ribbon for doing that, and then would need to go back to the grade level lesson to make sure he now can work through the content at the grade level. So those are some things that you can change if you want to. But as I said, you want to be sure to click Save. And let me back up just 1 second where it says Class Manager. If you log in and you don't have a class here, all you have to do is click right here on Add New Class, give it a name. You will automatically, this shows up because I'm logged in as an administrator of the overall program, but when you create a class, you will be the teacher of that class. You don't have to pick that. And then the same process, come down here and select the students for whatever your grade level is, and click Save. So then the next step, can't save that one, I didn't give it a name. Okay, the next step, back at Class Manager, is if you click on the name of your class, you're ready to create an assignment for the class. So going along with the suggestion I made earlier, and believe me, it's just a suggestion. You know your program, you know how many computers you have available and how much time and so forth. So you obviously know best what kind of assignment you would make. So I'll just point out right here, you're going to add an assignment that you would intend for the entire class, or you would start with an assignment that you're going to make for maybe just 2 or 3 students in the class. Notice right here where it says no, you're going to want to remember that, because after you make the first assignment, you only have to do it 1 time each school year, but after you make the first assignment, you must come back here and activate the class page, because that's what's going to make it possible for your students to see the assignment that you made. Makes it super easy for them. So I'll just quickly go through this process. Click on Add Assignment. We're going to focus today on just the plain Jane practice and instruction assignments. In future sessions, we'll talk about these other options. So we're going to click Create Assignment. We're going to name this assignment, let's see, 5th grade. Oh, I know we do order of operations. So this is so in my scenario, I'm teaching order of operations. I want my students to practice on that topic many times as they want to until the end of the day on, let's give them until the day after Thanksgiving. How silly is that? Anyway, so give them plenty of time, give them the whole week or whatever you think is best, and then come down here. If you think you need calculators, go ahead and add it. Something to notice right here, we already set the preferences for the class in general, but you can change this for individual assignments if you want. We won't do that now. Okay, so now I'm doing this for a 5th grade class. So I'm going to select, I said it was order of operations, so that's got to be math. And look at that right here. I'm assigning order of operations to my students. If you're wondering about these little tabs here in the middle, notice up here at the top it says constructed response. If you want your students to have to practice answering multi-part constructed response questions, if I click here, you can see So part A are the expressions equivalent, if not, fine. So if you want them to have practice working on this kind of question, you would click here, and the first question the student will see is the constructed response question. And guess who gets to grade the constructed response questions? That would be you. So when I show you the report, I'll show you where you would access how to grade those. And when I say grade, evaluate them, and you can give the students feedback and a score. I'm going to turn it off for right now. Okay, so I've picked order of operations. I could have the students working on as many different topics as I want to. That's, of course, up to you. And then you would go next and select your class. So I started out as Melanie Barker's class that has one student in it right now. By the way, I am not going to actually save all of this, but you would scroll. Well, I'll save it temporarily and then I'll delete it. So you would down here save and exit. Then remember, so that after you make the first assignment, click on yes to activate the class page. And when the students log in, boom, they're going to see that assignment. As you go along, one of the things that I encourage you to do is when you make the assignment, and you remember it asked me to name the assignment. So name it whatever the topic is, so that later you're going to come back and here the reports are going to be right here. So let me just show you how quick and easy that is. So you're going to click on Class Manager. You've told your students to get their best score in there by the end of the day on Friday. So I'm going to click, this check mark right here means that I've activated the class page. Just another reminder. It's that important. Okay, so I'm going to click on my class, and it's time to see how my students did. So all I do is, this was the assignment. I'm going to click on the report. So imagine if you had, 20 or 30 of these assignments listed down through here. You always want to be able to go to the report that you want to look at. And I should, just let me also say that this will be what we call an assignment report. In another session, we'll come back and look in the school reports, because all of these individual assignments will get accumulated in the gradebook report for your class. So I don't want it to pause screen sharing, so let's do this again. Okay, I think we're good. Let me see what your view is. Okay, we're fine. Okay, so anyway, here's where. So your students have completed the work and you want to see how they did. You click right here. And of course, there's nothing for us to see right now. So this student who was in the class, and if you can picture, this would be the whole list of all of your students. It would be how many different sessions did the students do. So it would tell you that. Then it's going to give you the score. This is where you say to the student, you can do this over and over again until you get the highest score possible for me to record when the time comes. So this is the function that's new this year. And you still have, if you wanted to know what their cumulative score, that would still show up right here. And of course, if the student earned a blue ribbon, it would tell you that Tyson here earned a blue ribbon. Okay? Now, remember when I said you could add a constructed response question? If that's included, you'll see it'll say right here constructed response, and you'll have a link so that you can see what each student wrote, and that would be included right here. So everything that you want to look at is going to be right here on the assignment report. Okay, so I'm going to close that. And that really concludes what we're going to cover today. There's lots of other resources that we're going to look at in future sessions, but we're hoping to have sessions come in at about half an hour, so they're quick and easy for you to follow. So let me come back to pull up the PowerPoint here for just a second. Make sure that's showing for you. And I want to show, I want to get back to the end of the PowerPoint so that you can see that contact information. So there we go. Okay, so take a picture of this screen, write it down. So Susan Vance, that's me talking, and I know I've worked with many teachers at Adler, and I expect to be back there later. So this is my phone number. This is my email address. It's usually easier to get a hold of me by email because I'm not always able to answer the phone. But if you prefer phone, just leave a detailed message and I'll get back to you. Tell me when would be a good time to call you so that we don't end up playing phone tag for days. So that's me. Michael Phelps is, as I said, the territory manager. This is his phone number and his contact as well. So we're both very committed to helping you be successful with Study Island. And also, if you watch this recording and would like to, obviously if you have questions, get in touch with us. But if you'd like to suggest what you'd like to have in the next recording, let us know. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was informative, but your suggestions would be greatly appreciated. And have a wonderful rest of the day, and look forward to talking with you.